On April 2, 2008, 21-year-old college student Brittany Harper made a frantic 911 call from her apartment in Madison, Wisconsin. The dispatcher heard screaming, a struggle, then the line went dead. And then, the dispatcher did absolutely nothing. No police were sent. No welfare check was ordered. The call was marked as a hang-up and forgotten. 3 hours later, Brittany's fiancé found her body. If you believe police departments need to be held accountable when they fail victims, hit that subscribe button right now. Because what I'm about to expose will shock you to your core. This is a story of systemic failure that cost an innocent woman her life. Let's get into it. Brittany Harper was living her dream. A senior at the University of Wisconsin-Madison, studying medical technology. She had a 3.8 GPA and had just been accepted into a prestigious graduate program. She was engaged to Jordan Matthews, her high school sweetheart. They were planning a June wedding. Everything was falling into place. On April 2, 2008, Brittany had the day off from her part-time job at the university hospital. She planned to spend the afternoon studying for finals in her apartment on West Doty Street. It was a quiet neighborhood, tree-lined streets, mostly students and young professionals. The kind of place where people felt safe leaving their doors unlocked. At 12:20 p.m., Brittany's cell phone dialed 911. The call lasted 52 seconds. Dispatcher Rachel Holt answered. 911, what's your emergency? Silence. Then rustling sounds. Heavy breathing. Then a woman's voice, Brittany's voice, screaming, no, stop, please. The sound of a struggle. Objects crashing. More screaming. Then the line went dead. Call received. 12:20 and 47 seconds p.m. Call duration, 52 seconds. Dispatcher, Rachel Holt. Action taken, none. Rachel Holt marked the call as an accidental dial and moved on to the next call. No officers were dispatched. No one called the number back. No welfare check was ordered. At 3:47 p.m., 3 hours and 27 minutes after that 911 call, Jordan came home from class. He found Brittany's body in their bedroom. Before I tell you what investigators found at that crime scene, make sure you're subscribed with notifications on. This case exposes failures at every level of the system, and you need to hear every detail. Drop a comment telling me what you think should have happened to that 911 dispatcher. When Madison police arrived at 3:52 p.m., here's what they found. Brittany Harper had been stabbed multiple times. The medical examiner would later determine she'd been attacked with a kitchen knife from her own apartment. There were defensive wounds on her hands and forearms. She fought back hard. The apartment showed clear signs of a violent struggle. A lamp was shattered, books knocked off shelves, a chair overturned. But here's what makes this even more devastating. The medical examiner estimated Brittany's time of death at approximately 12:30 p.m., 10 minutes after the 911 call. If police had responded immediately, if that dispatcher had done her job, officers would have arrived while Brittany was still fighting for her life. She could have been saved. Investigators found critical evidence at the scene. A partial bloody footprint near the bedroom door. Men's size 10, Nike brand. DNA under Brittany's fingernails. She'd scratched her attacker during the struggle. And most importantly, fingerprints on the kitchen knife handle that didn't match Brittany or Jordan. The killer had left his DNA and fingerprints at the scene. This should have been an easy case to solve. But the Madison Police Department made mistake after mistake. First, they didn't process the crime scene until 6:30 p.m., nearly 3 hours after discovering Brittany's body. Critical evidence was compromised. Second, they didn't canvass the neighborhood for witnesses until the next day. By then, memories had faded. And third, this one is unforgivable. They didn't run the DNA and fingerprints through the national database until April 15th, 13 days after Brittany was murdered. Why the delay? The detective assigned to the case, Lieutenant Mark Stevenson, later testified that he didn't think it was urgent. A 21-year-old woman was dead. Her killer's DNA was in the system, and the detective didn't think it was urgent. If this is making you as angry as it's making me, smash that like button. Cases like Brittany's prove why we need accountability in law enforcement. Your engagement keeps these stories alive and puts pressure on departments to do better. Now, let me show you what happened when they finally ran that DNA. On April 15th, 2008, the DNA from under Brittany's fingernails came back with a match. David Allen Call, age 46, registered sex offender. Call had a violent criminal history spanning 20 years. 1989, attempted sexual assault in Milwaukee. 1994, aggravated battery against a female victim. 2001, stalking and harassment. 2006, parole violation. He'd been released from prison just 7 months before Brittany's murder. And here's the part that will make your blood boil. David Call lived 4 blocks from Brittany's apartment. 4 blocks. When detectives finally ran his address through their system, they discovered something horrifying. On March 18, 2008, just 2 weeks before Brittany's murder, a woman living on West Doty Street had filed a police report. She reported a man matching Call's description lurking outside her apartment building, watching women come and go, taking photographs. The report was filed, and then forgotten. No one connected the dots. No one increased patrols in the area. No one checked if any registered sex offenders lived nearby. If they had, they would have found David Call living 4 blocks away. On April 16, 2008, 14 days after Brittany's murder, police finally arrested David Call at his apartment. During the search, investigators found a pair of Nike shoes, size 10, with blood spatter on the soles, a journal with entries about watching the blonde girl on Doty Street, and photographs of Brittany taken through her apartment window. David Call had been stalking Brittany Harper for weeks. He knew her schedule. He knew when she was home alone. He'd been planning this. If you think the 911 dispatcher should have faced criminal charges, leave a comment right now. This community demands accountability, and your voice matters. Don't forget to subscribe. We're covering more cases where the system failed victims who deserved justice. David Call's trial began in October 2009, 18 months after Brittany's murder. The prosecution's case was overwhelming. His DNA under Brittany's fingernails, his fingerprints on the murder weapon, his shoes matching the bloody footprint, his journal documenting his obsession with Brittany. But the trial revealed something even more disturbing. During testimony, it came out that David Call had been placed on the Wisconsin Sex Offender Registry in 2006. As part of his parole conditions, he was required to check in with his parole officer every 2 weeks. His last check-in before Brittany's murder? March 29, 2008. For days before he killed her, his parole officer, Thomas Brennan, testified that Call seemed fine during their meeting. No red flags, no concerns. But here's what Brennan didn't do. He didn't verify Call's address. He didn't check if Call was living near schools or high-density residential areas. He didn't review any recent police reports from Call's neighborhood. If he had done any of those things, he would have discovered the March 18th report about a suspicious man matching Call's description stalking women on West Doty Street. Brittany Harper might still be alive. On November 12, 2009, the jury found David Call guilty of first-degree intentional homicide. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. But that wasn't justice for Brittany's family. Because justice would have been Brittany living to see her 22nd birthday. Justice would have been her walking down the aisle to marry Jordan. Justice would have been a 911 dispatcher doing her job. After the trial, Brittany's parents, Robert and Linda Harper, launched a campaign to hold the Madison Police Department accountable. They filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the city, specifically targeting the 911 dispatch center's failure to respond to Brittany's call. The lawsuit alleged gross negligence. It demanded policy changes. It demanded that dispatcher Rachel Holt be fired. The city fought back hard. Their lawyers argued that the 911 call was ambiguous, that Rachel Holt had made a judgment call in good faith, that there was no way to know it was a real emergency. Let me play you a portion of the deposition where the city's attorney questioned Robert Harper. Attorney: Mr. Harper, how can you be certain your daughter was calling for help? Robert Harper: because she was screaming. Because there were sounds of a struggle. Because she was murdered 10 minutes later. In 2012, the city of Madison settled the lawsuit for $1.2 million. But they admitted no wrongdoing. However, the Harper family's fight did lead to changes. Change number 1. Madison implemented a new 911 protocol requiring all hang-up calls to trigger an automatic dispatch. Change number 2. Dispatchers must now attempt callback at least 3 times before closing a case. Change number 3. All 911 calls with audible distress sounds must be flagged for immediate supervisor review. But here's what didn't change. Rachel Holt, the dispatcher who ignored Brittany's call, was never fired. She was suspended for 2 weeks without pay, then returned to her position. She's still working as a 911 dispatcher in Madison today. As of 2025, she's handled over 50,000 emergency calls. How many other calls has she mishandled? How many other victims has she failed? We'll never know. Brittany Harper deserved better. She deserved a system that protected her. She deserved a 911 dispatcher who took her call seriously. If this story made you angry, if you believe we need to demand more from law enforcement, then subscribe to this channel right now. Hit that notification bell so you never miss a case. Drop a comment telling me, should Rachel Holt still be working as a 911 dispatcher? Do you think the city did enough? And if you want to honor Brittany's memory, share this video. The more people who know her story, the more pressure we put on systems to change. I'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there.